Hallo en welkom weer by Farmspace. Ons is by NexusAG Graanproduksentedag. Ja, produksiedag besigheid. Saam met Rovic Leers en Cerealis is ook hierso. Hulle het 'n nuwe ding wat hulle inbring van Furrow Management Systems wat jy in die voor 'n ding ordentlik neersit. Baie cool. Al die pad van Australië af wat hulle vir ons 'n Sterling ingevoer. Sterling gaan vir julle mooi vertel wat, hoekom, waarom jy daai ding op jou planter sit, of jy kan 'n Rovic planter koop, 'n kry hom sommer by. Lekker, maklik. Kom ons luister. Sterling, how are you?
Very good, thank you.
No, good. I want to ask you how South Africa, but it's the same as Australia, just Afrikaans.
Yeah, a bit different. Much the same.
Okay, so you are from Furrow Management Systems. Just explain to me quickly in a nutshell, what is it exactly that you guys do?
So we do precision pumping systems for liquid application in furrow at time of seeding.
Yes.
We have rate control systems that monitor the amount of liquid that goes through to your products, well, obviously down to the point of or your seed zone, and yeah.
And it's about being able to manage milliliters. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Is that one of the main value adds?
Yeah. We can do it to individual outlets of millimeters per minute per time. A bit of a very wide range between 100 to about 600 milliliters per time or outlet.
That's awesome. Okay, so this is but just before we get to the box, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So this is basically, let's call it your magic black box.
Yep.
That does everything.
All in one unit.
All in one. Yeah. Let's start from the back.
Yep.
Let's start here by the tine. Explain to me quickly what's going on there.
So on here we've got our friction flow, which this is our actual restrictor. So instead of having a tiny restriction point, we have a lengthened one. So the actual ID of this tube is 2 mil throughout the whole tube. So
yes,
in having that,
so it's very thick.
It's very thick sidewall, so it doesn't chop, it doesn't kink. You can twist it, you can do everything, you can bite it, and it'll just go straight back to the same thing. But because of the complex mixtures that everyone's trying to do these days, we were getting blockages that's where we've created this tubing. We then get it all kilned into a coil.
Yeah, because I'm like, why did you make it all springy like that?
To be very easily mounted to your pre-existing seed or fert tubes.
Oh, so it's about the mounting. That's basically what that is about.
Yeah, it's also to effectively reduce where it could catch on something.
Yeah.
So instead of having like big loops of a straight hose, we've done it into a very neat, tight-knit product, basically.
What were you smoking when you came up with this idea? Because that was either a lot of brandy or something that someone came up with that idea.
It's actually very similar to like what you've got on truck lines. Yeah. So they're very flexible.
Yes.
And you can pull them out really far, but if you're not using them, they're very compact and easily stored and out of the way, basically.
That is amazing. I love that. Okay, and then this basically just goes down to where you want it applicated.
Yeah, so for this placement zone, usually it is behind, so it doesn't get all the trash flow and all that whacked against it. But this would usually be like liquid urea, and those sorts of products, deep underneath the seed. You then have a different placement zone where your seed's coming out. And
so then that's application specific depending on where you want it to go, but also I think what makes it easy is if I want to move it for different applications. Let's say I'm planting from different crops. I maybe want to put in one thing for canola, one thing for wheat, one thing for whatever the case might be.
So usually on the backside on top of the seed is the micronutrients or the trace elements and that sort of thing, wetting agents, all those.
Now let's get to your magic box then. Okay, then the red wire or the red tube turns black, and that goes that side.
that goes to our distribution manifolds, which are non-drip valve banks.
Where's that?
That's down around.
Oh, let's
here.
go. Let's go on this side. I've got the Australian. Once he's going back, I'm not going to see him again. So
we've got our distribution manifolds.
Yes.
They're banks of non-drip valves. They're all modular, so depending on how many outlets you've got per airhead, you can actually make that odds, evens, 10, 9, 8, 7, 14, however many you need, you can put out.
And then this basically brings in the flow.
Yeah, that
and then
brings the flow.
Take them out there.
Yeah, so that half-inch line goes to a primary manifold, which evenly distributes to each wing or airhead.
Okay, and then I'm guessing, so from here something happens where you can basically manage everything back there from here.
Yep.
Explain to me how that works.
So in this system, this is the all-in-one unit. So you've got your large suction filter on the side here, 32 mesh, which is a very large mesh size. Because our tubes are 2 mil, you don't actually need a very fine filter mesh. You then go through our 9303S High Pro stainless steel pump, which is centrifugal pumps, 356 litres a minute. Very high output flow for our application, but we have a big emphasis on agitation.
I wanted to say what's it? Is it a diaphragm pump or what?
No, so it's a centrifugal impeller.
Pump.
It's got a nylon impeller in the inside and then complete stainless steel.
So it pumps. It's not screwing around.
No, yeah, the holes.
If you're struggling to fill up the planter with water, you can just plug it in. It'll work.
Yeah. Then goes through our control valve, all our componentry. It goes through control valve and electromagnetic flow meter. Then through the dump on-off valve, which is all controlled through your screen. You can get it on a single switch as well, depending on.
Does this go isobus through to the tractor, or does it have its own screen?
So you can. It is isobus compatible. Yep. So it's very easily modified to whatever you have. It can go through Topcon, Green Star, Raven, anything like that. All it needs is an adaptation harness.
And then you're good to go.
And you're good to go.
I love that. Okay, and then explain to me quickly, what have I got here with the levers?
So with the levers up the top here, you've got your suction. So you plumb it in for product tank and a freshwater tank. It then goes through, obviously, suction filter, pump, and then inside there's a pressure relief valve down here that sets your system pressure. In doing that, you create the pressure needed and the flow going back to the tank through agitation. You then have 3 manual valves.
And just to make sure, agitation, that's basically like the return to the the main tank.
You have a main return, but then you also have main agitate, which is actually one of these levers here. You then have purge to ground, which is used for fresh flushing, priming the system, purging it of air. You then have manual run, which saves you from having to go run back to your tractor and set an input. Usually with your rate controllers, you have to put an input speed to then flush the full system. You then also have another tap on the bottom here for your return. On the inside of the cab, it has a recirc function, so you can either return back to the tank or you can recirc it whilst also switching your tank to not go back to your product tank and mix into that.
Okay, and now what happens if, I know when I'm in with the seed metering units and those things now, I've got my prescription maps, or I've planted and it sees where it planted, and then it's basically got section control. It stops when you get to certain stages. Does this do the same?
Yeah, so this is all through the same screen. It does need to be unlocked in your screen. It's called variable rate. Usually if you've got granular, it can do a liquid as well. You just got to double check that it can. If not, it's a pretty easy ECU adjustment or add-on.
That you can then sort it out. And then when it's off, you said something about that it doesn't drip. When it switches off, it's off. It doesn't drip your whole
Yeah, the non-drip valves banks open up 0.3 of a bar, so
Yeah.
as soon as the on-off valve shuts, there's no pressure to them, so obviously they close. Our product only has that 2 mil hole, so it actually doesn't have enough space for air to go back up the tube, so it completely stops and holds the liquid in the tube without dripping or doing any of that sort of thing when you're folding, when you're stopping, and that.
Awesome. Okay, and then what are the types of products that I can put through there? Anything?
Anything. So lots of people do trace elements, microbiotics, liquid urea, nitrogen.
What about like liquid lime, those
Liquid
types
lime.
of things, which is a little bit thicker? Will this handle it?
Yep. This is perfect for it.
Is that why you've got that 350 litre pump there?
Yeah. So we can, our service range is about 1 to 5 bar pressure. So with those liquid lime sort of products, you're sort of sitting around that 3.5 bar to get out what you're doing, usually at 1 bar with a normal water-based product.
I'm with you, because you're not doing liquid lime with a diaphragm pump. That's
No.
Okay, and then you can do this pretty much on any planter, if I'm correct.
Yep.
I just need to call Cerealis and they'll sort me out.
Yep, 100%.
Okay, cool. Or I can just go and buy the Rovic planter, then I get it with.
Yeah, exactly. Comes factory.
Awesome, Sterling, thank you very much. Right, so dit is Sterling van al die pad van Australië af. Jy kan kyk hierdie nuwe Rovic fynsaad planter, my goed, is baie cool. Jy kan hom gaan kyk. En dan so as julle met belangstel in hierdie storie, either die planter of die Furrow besigheid, Furrow Management Systems, klik die link bo vir onder Praat met Cerealis en hulle gaan jou uitsort. Dis hier van Farmspace af, tot volgende keer. Groete.